How is it you do not understand? We're St. Paul Lutheran Church, spa15.org is the website. UAC is the confession. That's the unaltered Augsburg Confession. You know what that means if you're a member in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. We're the Lutherans who are pro grace, pro Bible, pro marriage, pro family, and pro life. And here at St. Paul, we are committed to being a Psalms praying, Proverbs reading, red letter following, Protestant Christian congregation of believers in Jesus because he is risen. Hallelujah. So, understanding. It's not a word that I think the American church really likes. We prefer entertainment. We don't really like discipline. We like fun. And if you listen, it's not just the American Christians talking this way, it's kind of everybody. And I got my theories as to why, but what I want you to do is to start listening and understand that when someone says, "Is it fun?" they mean, may I not have to think about it? May I turn off my brain? May I become stupid? You can do a little digging on the word fun and discover how its root meaning is the word fool or folly. Fun is what fools do while things fall apart. Understanding is what a man who sees a fool does, which is he doesn't stand under that guy's roof for very long because the lintels are going to come down and you don't want to be there when that tower collapses. And somewhere therein is the power of the Tower of Siloam. So it comes to my mind, where Jesus points out not only that when something bad happens to someone else, it's pretty foolish to say they deserved it, not like me, but it's also foolish to say they didn't deserve it. Rather, it's, oh my God, what happened to them? Dear Jesus, help me. That's the proper responsive understanding to the Tower in Siloam, or to say, and I don't know what the news really means these days, but I know that currently there are Muslim militia driving with armed weaponry and all manner of mass population at a town called Druze in southern Syria, which is a Christian town with the intent of massacring everybody. The Druze are asking for help online. The Orthodox Church is asking for help online. And I don't know, they're all going to die. Some of them already have. There's a family of 20 Christians, a pastor, an evangelical pastor, formerly Muslim, converted, lived there. His family, picture of all of them, kids, grandparents, dead. What's your understanding of that? That's today, last night. There's a couple 100,000 people in Druze. They're being surrounded by more hundreds of thousands of people. What are you to do? Well, pray, right? It's exactly what I said a moment ago. Not they deserve it, but dear God, straight to dear God, help us, right? Help us. And then from here, okay, from understanding and being dear God to you're in the boat with Jesus. And he's got all the bread you need. He's fed so many people with just a little bit of bread, like it's beyond imagination. The fact that Christianity exists right now, period, in history is unbelievable. Unbelievable against all odds, every odd. That the Bible is still here against every odd, except for the fact that it's just, well, not damn true, it's blessedly true against all damnation. It's such an amazing and powerful reality that God is and hasn't abandoned us, that right now you have the full capacity to turn on your heel, ask God for all things, starting with understanding, and believe He will provide them. Even to the level of seeing that for those who are massacred today as Christians, wherever they may be, there are others, say in Africa, or are under threat, that such people are not to be pitied by us Christians. We're not to see the shortening of life as something to pity. It's tragic when a child gets hit by a bus and the parents are concerned. But at the end of the day, if that child is a Christian, there is no pity for that one who's gone to eternal rest and been glorified in heaven. The pity's for us who must remain in this veil of tears and deal with the pain of wishing they were still here, stuck in the pain, which is a very selfish thing to do when you think about it, when you understand our problem. and that death is not the problem anymore. He is risen. Hallelujah. So, how much bread do you need? It's the same question as last week. Right? How many loaves do you really want? What do you want God to do for you? Because if you just want a pony and no understanding, you can end up with a dead pony before long. If God gives you the power to reign and you don't know how to use it, you will kill people. And that is for a father to his children, right? With their souls and their hearts. That is for a president to his people. Oh my, that news the last 2 days as well. Are you watching? Wow. All this stuff, right? When lies are lies and truth is not truth, we fall apart. And Jesus says, how do you let this happen? Don't you know who I am? Don't you see that I have all and can continually give all? And the answer is, yeah, no, we don't see it. We don't. And then thus we repent and become disciples, which is not to say I'll never understand, but to understand. I don't get understanding by feeling. I don't feel my way into understanding. I hear Jesus talk and it stings sometimes, but it's true and it sticks around and never leaves. And that becomes understanding. That's what the Greek word logos word really means as well, by the way. That kind of truth that never leaves. It's always there. So, my question for you this morning, and then we're going to dive into the text line by line, but my question for you this morning is, how is it that you do not understand? Look at your life. I know somewhere in your life you're worried about something that isn't your problem. I know it. That's like how they get us to buy stuff. So you have to be worried about at least one thing that's not your problem. And for today, I want you to understand it's not your problem. I want you to find such freedom in the fact that it's not your problem. Like, cast your cares on Jesus. Right? If you're concerned, say, Jesus, I'm concerned. And I mean it. Oh my God needs to be taken back as language we can say when it's true. Cast your cares on him. And then go handle what you can handle because there's plenty for today in your neighborhood without having to fix Syria from your couch. Let's get to the text proper. Here we go. The Pharisees come out, verse 11, Mark 8:11. Pharisees came out and began to dispute with Jesus, right? What's the sign, you're fool? You're arguing with the Bible. That's a sign. Don't argue against it. Learn to hear it, right? Don't say, Jesus, that can't be right. That's not wise. That's utter folly. Say, Jesus, I don't understand. Say, Jesus, that doesn't make sense to me. Don't say it's not right. Right? The Pharisees come out to argue with him. Who are these guys? This is going to be important in just a moment again. The Pharisees, their name means set apart, holy. We are the set apart. And it starts pretty good. 300 years before this, they're more or less trying to keep circumcision alive in the Jewish community. So they really were set apart from that stuff. But by the time Jesus is here, they're the established cultural power. They're the influencers of the time. They're Hollywood in one sense. And what they want most is for everyone to do what they say. Because if everyone does what they say, then they'll all be in straight lines and God will bless them, so they think. With what? With freedom and power and a reign over all the earth and the coming of the Christ and a bunch of other things. But it's really finally up to you to get in line behind us. Otherwise, God's never going to do nothing. And that's kind of their gist, right? That's what they do, which is why they can't stand Jesus. Jesus is here saying, I'm doing all of it without you. Oh, and you keep trying to stop me. I'm still going to do it. Right? And they can't stand that. They want to think it's about what they've been doing all this time. They can't imagine that they've been preparing for 300 years for a Christ they don't want. But again, there's great wisdom in this to see how the God that you think you want, the God that you feel you need, is often not the God you have. If you had the God you wanted, you'd be much worse off than you are. That's the truth. The Pharisees come out, they don't want Jesus, they dispute him, seek from him a sign from heaven. And this is laughable. He has just fed 4,000 people with 7 loaves of bread. Like, turn the page. He has just done it. And they're like, prove yourself to us. Right? What more does he need to do? But that isn't the point. No answer will be enough for these people. They are committed to destroying him from pages before this. What they're looking for is a tripwire. They're trying to find a way to catch him in his words so later they can use those words against him and shut him up. Right? That's a common tactic in conversation. They come and they test him, they seek the sign. He sighs deeply in his spirit. Notice the humanity. Like he's out here working hard. Really, right? The mark and secret. He's out here working hard. He's trying to teach Peter that he has to die, and Peter ain't getting it. Meanwhile, they're bringing to him all these paraplegics who also don't get it. And he's exhausted because he has to put out power every single time he gives them this stuff. And so he's doing this and he's doing that. And golly, they're hungry. Okay, here we go. Gonna feed all of them. And just like that, why don't you prove yourself from the corner? Like, what? Like, as a man, he's like, he's just, I'm done. In his heart, right? I'm done. What else do I have to do, Lord? He's crying to God. See that? It's good. You get to do this too. You get to be just like Jesus and cry out to God, right? Deeply in his spirit. And then he does teach. He says, why does this generation seek a sign? You got the word generation there. And then this idea of looking for proofs. We had the Gideon story earlier, and I made the advocacy that Gideon's wrong and right. No. The Christian life is going to look for proofs. You're going to want God to prove himself to you. That's your flesh at work in you, but you're going to do it, and it's going to be redeemed so that you actually see answers. So that rather than testing God, you pray to God. And that's the difference. It really is. Like a test is a prayer you don't think is going to get answered. Huh? A prayer is a test you plan to pass. Really. Think that through. Why does this generation seek a sign? What do you really want from God? How many loaves do you need? Generation, again, important. There are arguments out there. He could be talking about the Jews. Not sure about that one. I think it's more likely it's generation. I call it theory out of Proverbs 30. Let every 4 generations or so. It takes 4 generations to collapse and be kicked out of God's wrath completely. And so that's what Jesus is enduring. How sharp are their teeth like knives, their daughters crying, give, give, and all this kind of stuff. So I think that's more what's going on. He says, this culture, this society that I'm in right now, it is this bad. But the word definitely comes from family. It means like gametes, right? Like the things that progenerate. Why does this progenerated group want me to prove myself? He asks. I say, not going to do it. No sign shall be given to this generation. Now, if you go check Matthew, you'll find out he says, except. So there's always, the way Matthew heard it, the way Mark heard it. I don't want to destroy Mark. Mark is making it clear. Jesus looks at the Pharisees, hears their argument, and just says no and walks on. Like he's just not even going to give them the time. He's not going to waste his breath. None of it. No. On he goes. So that's there. But Jesus does say, for the sake of all the crowds, there is one sign. You won't be able to miss it. It's called an empty tomb. So all these like wars are happening. I mean, it was Israel indeed bombed a church. Also, there's some Catholic stuff about the nation of Israel accidentally bombed a church in Syria as well this week. Like as all this is happening over there in that land, what seems to be lost in the news is that there's an empty tomb. Mike Huckabee, I believe he's the ambassador to Israel currently, came out and said that they are treating Christians poorly in Israel as tourists. Oh no. What will become of our tourism? I'm not against what Mike's saying. Actually, I'm glad Mike said something. Needs to be said. But what I really want us to see is that there's an empty tomb over there. And the point of the tourism is not that you would go and like get a puppet of Jesus and come home with maybe a pile of dirt, although that's pious, but that you would know that whatever wars they're fighting are just going to end one day with Jesus coming back. And that to fight over that land is about as dumb as you can get, since he said spirit and truth is the way his kingdom works, not soil. If there's land, that's his land, it's your body. That's his temple, where his spirit and his truth inhabit and incarnate and inspire you. So the sign of the empty tomb is Christianity's moments. He is risen. Hallelujah. So from there, that's the sign he leaves, even as he says, I'm not talking to the Pharisees. I got no time for these guys. Verse 13, he leaves them, gets into the boat. I'm like, I'm really done. Like, I'm not going to let them follow me. I'm getting in a boat, leaving, right? Departs to the other side. And the disciples have forgotten to take some food, it says. Kind of the setup for the story. They only have the one loaf in the boat. And again, for you as a reader, like it should be like, oh, no problem, right? Jesus has this covered no matter what. It also has some reference to other stories about Jesus being asleep in the bottom of the boat and the disciples not understanding a major piece of this, right? Then he charges them. He decides to talk now. He's like, this is teaching time. I've been trying to get you to listen, but the crowd and the enemies, they're all in the way. They're all distracting us. So I want you to listen. Listen, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, right? We defined those guys earlier, and of Herod, which, if you're kind of used to hearing Bible verses, you're like, what about the Sadducees? It's like, well, yeah, Luke said Sadducees here, right? So, like, why does Mark leave Sadducees off? Yeah, what can we learn from the whole thing? That's kind of what I want to give us. Take heed, beware of the leaven. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. Paul quoted from um, Jesus, I think, earlier in our First Corinthians reading. The idea would be like, you get oil on something, it doesn't come off, right? Once you've taken a bite of the apple, the bite is taken out of the apple. Uh, and so, what you put in to your ears, your eyes, makes of you what you're going to be. Idolatry, the worship of images, the main reason it's bad is you worship things that are going to make you be bad accidentally and instinctually. You're driven toward images of yourself that are impossible. And then you try to make them come to pass, and people sell you snake oil to do it. Right? A little leaven leavens the whole lump. How do you imagine yourself? What do you let come in that tells you who you are? He's going to give us at least two, but I'm going to do three categories of ways to just deflect this stuff with a little, spiritual jujitsu. The leaven of the Pharisees is very simple. It's you can do it, you're going to do it, you better do it. If you don't do it, no one will do it. I'm kind of finished with that one, right? Like it comes down to if you don't do it, no one will do it. It's up to you. That's the leaven of the Pharisees. And it doesn't even matter if it actually you're Gideon. You're Gideon. It's up to you, right? It's not up to Gideon, not at all. And yet he's in the center of the entire thing. Every man who's there is going to look to him and think it's up to Gideon. Gideon's job is to say it's not up to me. Follow Yahweh. Oh, that's a moment in the story there as well. So, leaven of the Pharisees, thinking it's up to you. Right? Leaven of Herod. Leaven of Herod. Who's Herod? Right. Probably at this point, Herod Antipas, not Herod the Great, same family, same name, same lineage. Edom, Idumeans, or Esau, and Esau's children, Esau's sons. So definitely not Jews, like by extreme definition, not Jews, but ruling over the Jews as the arm of Rome. So you might as well hear him say the leaven of Rome or the leaven of Alexander the Great, because Herod is a great Hellenist. He loves his sport, and he loves his statuary, he loves his dancing girls, a great Greek. Beware of that. But really, again, back to Rome. What is Rome? But the government far away who promises you that if you just do your job and submit to Caesar, who is king and God, then everything will be fine. Right? And the leaven is worship of government. The leaven is worship of the authority. The leaven is believing that someone who's not even there but takes all your money actually cares about you. And thinking that this is God's will for your life, that you should follow such people's teachings about how things will get better if you just do more of what they say. The leaven of Herod, the leaven of man made government. There's a long political history of arguing about it, and I can weigh in on that like the best of them. I'll tell you, though, the kingdom, ours, remaineth. So beware the leaven of Herod, who does not have a kingdom. He calls himself a king. He does not have a kingdom. Sadducees, they're the other kind of part of this whole thing, right? And who are they? They are the elite, vested Judean caste. Their fathers have lived on those lots of land around Jerusalem in general, tied to the temple in one way or the other for 1,000 years. Status quo, baby. Status quo. Don't rock the boat. Everything's working fine for me and mine. I know the poor guy out there's begging, and the lepers have no one to advocate, and the widow just put her coins in and she's going to starve. That's okay because Rome hasn't killed us and starved us out yet. So let's keep it this way. That's the Sadducees. Yeah. What's their leaven again? Let's keep it this way. It's cowardice, right? So Pharisees, works righteousness. Herod, government. Sadducees, cowardice. There's a lion in the streets. It might turn out bad if we try. Don't work, it'll just fail again. Welcome to cynicism. So beware these ways of thinking and talking as you listen to songs, particularly. As you watch movies, I don't say now don't watch movies. I do say listen well and watch the signaling that goes on. What are you being taught to think about us and yourself? I mean, just compare any movie. Some night, get a movie from 1980 and a movie from just last year and look at the difference and ask yourself, what happened? Because it isn't just on the screen, it's us. Beware the leaven. Verse 16, and they reasoned among themselves, the disciples don't get it, right? Saying, we have no bread. And Jesus is marveling. Are you listening? Is the question, right? Why do you reason because you have no bread? Verse 17. Do you not yet perceive nor understand? Those are great Solomon words. Is your heart still hardened? There it is. Right. The major issue with the human is a heart of stone. And the thing that must happen to that heart of stone is the cross of Jesus Christ must crush it. He's a bigger stone. And against all like thinking, like, well, if Jesus crushes me, won't I be destroyed? No, you're raised. You drink the bitter cup of confessing your evil before God. And by the time you get to the bottom, that forgiveness sure tastes good. Way better than trying to do it yourself or trusting in the government far away or just hoping in the status quo. Those things, forgive me, those things suck. Really. Those are hard ways to live. Much better to not have to reason about it because my heart is softened enough to know that even if I don't understand it, he does. He knows. He sees. And so having eyes and not seeing, I may turn to him in prayer. Having ears and not hearing, I may say, Jesus, what does this mean? Or I may turn to another Christian brother and say, have you read this? Have you thought on this? What does it say? We have something outside of us so much stronger than us. There is nothing to fear. Jesus is able to take these loaves. He asked the questions. I'm not going to go through them again. It's cool how he repeats the basket sizes, and there's all sorts of like detail in there in the Greek. But his main point is, don't you see who I am? And I'm yours. Put those two together. Never let them go. He comes to Bethsaida. Got a few minutes left here. They brought him a blind man. Begged Jesus to touch him. Right? Everyone believes it's in the power of the hocus pocus. Do the thing you do. Do the thing you do. Come on, wave your arms and stuff. Remember Naaman's story? He's like disappointed because there's not enough magic in the sending to be baptized in the river. And he wants him to wave his arms. So they want him to do this. He takes the blind man by the hand, and this has got to be one of the strangest. It's weirder than the ears, the plug in the ears, which we heard last week. He took the blind man by the hand, led him to the town, out of the town. So it goes away from people. He's always trying to get away from people. And when he had spit on his eyes, I just can't imagine it, and put his hands on him, he asked him if he saw anything. And like, this is not a mistake. Like, rule number one, Jesus didn't like mess up here. Maybe he's tired. I guess, I mean, I've made that point a little bit. Like in his incarnation, he's working hard. He's got to do more. But there's something else going on here, and maybe three or four things. I don't want to say I know though, because it is to me like I understand at least of anything in the Bible probably that when he does not fully perform the miracle and he asks this blind guy who's never seen a person in his life what he sees, the guy knows what men and trees look like, only that he knows that he doesn't see them right. Like, what on earth? And then they're walking. One of my favorite curiosities to just throw in right here is when Jesus says, I have other children you do not know about. Remember that line? Why do you have to go away, Lord? I have other children you do not know about. I think he loves the trees. Call me crazy. But I think men are like trees. I think part of the story here is for us to see that we're not so different from trees. We're tied to each other with root systems that go deep into the soil of our spirits and to the gametes of our history, our lineages, and our bloodlines. And so there's something very beautiful again about this. It's almost like he didn't see it wrong. It's like he saw it right, the way the angels see it. But then that's not really right for us. That's not clear for us. That would be really weird to live like an angel world with burning eyes and wheels everywhere all the time. Like, where do I duck? You know? So instead, he's like, let's fix this thing. So back to the text, right? He put his hands on him again, made him look up. That's interesting. Made him look up. Come back to that if I can. And he was restored and saw everyone clearly. Jesus sent him to his house. Don't go into the town. Don't tell anyone. I'm not here to do miracles. I'm tired of proving myself with signs. I do think that's the answer to his little secret. Made him look up. Recently, I've been looking into what I call pack dynamics. This is how humans engage each other in community, trying to become a better pastor. I would like us to be one of the most welcoming, hospitable, yet firm and resolved and convicted. And yeah, you can leave if you're not like us, churches in the world. I mean, why not? And that is going to involve all of us striving and discipline to love each other practically and actively. It isn't just walking in and saying what I want, it's taking my eyes, my ears and my mouth and using them for the other people that are here to lift them up according to scripture and the orders of our God. All right. So, in that world, eye contact is just about the most important human attribute we have, far more important than words. Human touch is also important. Let's just stick with eye contact for one moment. When you make eye contact with another human being, you are bound to do one of several things. You're going to contain and hold eye contact. You're going to look down. You're going to look to the side, or you're going to look up. I'm just going to say, looking up takes practice. Doesn't come naturally, but is in fact very freeing and shown biochemically to be one of the most good feelings you can create in your life. You look at people and then look up. Just do it. It's true. It's weird. That's just science right there. Okay, so but looking up, he makes this guy look up. Okay, that's where we're on this. But when you look to the side, when you cast someone's eyes and you look to the side, you're basically saying, "I see nothing. I am not afraid of you." Right. So if someone walks in our door and you see him and you look to the side, you've said, "Go away," or you've said, "I don't care if you're here." Right? You see them and you look up, they're not going to know what you're doing. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of the value of looking up, is it gives you a lot of freedom to what to do next. If you see them and you look down, you see them and you look down, that's actually fear, which is good in order. That is, those who are under should always look down to those who are looking at before it becomes conflict. Because if you retain that eye contact long enough, it will turn into a conflict, which the best kind of conflict's a handshake, right? Eye contact. Hi, Aaron. How you doing today? There we go. All right, now off we go. And I've looked to the side, but I've touched you and acknowledged you, right? Or another way to do this without having to make that contact is they walk in the door, you look over, you nod up at them as soon as you make eye contact, and you look away to what you're doing because you do have something you're doing that's important, but you've honored them as a body entering the room with that eye contact. Yeah. So eye contact, it's a powerful thing. And that Jesus makes him look up, I don't think it's a throwaway line. Mark doesn't waste his words. Why does Jesus make him look up? Because looking up's good. It's good. Look up. Lift up your head. Right? It's part of the gospel. Look up at the sky. Watch for his return. See the day approaching. I started this before we went online with asking for understanding for myself. And again, as your pastor, intending to be your pastor and to do the best I can at that job, my prayer is that my words become those that you can hear, whether that be here in this pulpit, whether that be as we pass each other in the narthex, or most importantly for all of you, the day that I'm at your bedside and you're about to die. If you're younger than me, I hope I don't have to do that, but I might. And if you're older than me by 15 years, 20 years, plan on it. Let's start talking about it. I'm going to be there. I care. That's what I'm here for. That understanding, though, is not about just me having some knowledge about what to do. It is indeed about how we meet heart to heart, eye to eye, ear to ear, voice to voice as the people of God. And indeed, that's not about me and you. That's about us. In Jesus' name.